Man, I've been struggling to fall asleep for the past 3 hours. I hate this. It's nights like this that really make me wish I didn't buy the crappiest possible pillow to sleep on just because it was the cheapest one available on the website. Well, I mean, I guess it could be worse. At least my pillow isn't a shitty four-legged interpretation of the Pittsburgh Steelers mascot or anything. Oh god, I'm not gonna fall asleep tonight. Pillow pets. Oh my god. If there's one thing I think we all took for granted as kids, it was TV commercials, the ones that advertise products just like pillow pets. Nobody enjoys advertisements. They're boring, repetitive, and get in the way of the crap you actually want to watch. But after enough time passes, they start to become really nostalgic, like little time capsules of their era. I grew up watching TV in the late 2000s and early 2010s, and even though at the time most of these ads meant nothing to me, rewatching them as an adult makes me really miss when I used to get excited by stupid products like this. Even if it wasn't very often I'd actually end up getting any of the stuff these commercials advertise, the amount of times I've heard these things over and over again as a kid, it truly feels like all of these products were core parts of my childhood. But the one childhood product that has always stuck out in my mind more so than any other is the Pillow Pet. This, to me, is the quintessential nostalgic TV commercial product from the decade I grew up in. Though originally released in 2003, these things really exploded in popularity in 2010, all thanks to this television advertisement. That was always a stupid-ass jingle, though. But hey, at least it's a lot better than frickin'—
How much stuff can you stuff in a stuffy till your stuffy's stuffed enough stuff?
Shut the fuck up. But the sentiment does remain. These things are such fond memories, and one of the only things from these commercials I actually had as a kid. Here's the one I got all those years ago, the Ladybug. And by the looks of it, it's been through some shit. As demonstrated by the commercial, the concept of these things is very simple. Choose a pillow pet based on one of your favorite animals or bearded men, and then you've got two game modes to play around with. Pillow, where your buddy lies flat on the ground, creating the perfect surface to rest your head on after a long day of drinking and smoking. And the pet mode, where by folding your animal in half and attaching the Velcro like this, your pillow turns into a pet. And now it's just a regular, normal-looking stuffed animal with absolutely zero design compromises. It's like you can't even tell this thing's just a rectangle folded in half. It's a complete transformation. To be honest, I'm not really sure why pillow pets of all things were the product I wanted so badly as a kid. I mean, looking back, I don't think I ever even used this the way it was intended. I never actually cared to use this thing as a pillow. I was just really into plushes and stuffed animals when I was younger. I know, I was a fucking weird kid, right? And at the time, I was probably just intrigued by the idea that this thing could take on the form of a pillow, if you wanted it to. Actually sleeping on it, I don't know, it just seemed like a gross idea. I didn't want to ruin a perfectly good stuffed animal with weird sleep juices and whatnot. I mean, sure, it's machine washable, but like, I don't do laundry. With that being said though, I definitely never used this thing as a pet either. Quite frankly, even as a kid, I always thought these things looked fucking moronic in this form, so what ended up happening was, I just used it as a stuffed animal in its pillow form. It wasn't a pillow pet, it was a pet pillow. So basically every function this thing was designed to serve, I completely ignored. Probably should have just asked for some other bullshit product like a fushigi or something. Well, on the topic of other products, the Pillow Pets franchise does not stop here, not even close. Surprisingly, to this day, the brand is still going pretty strong, and there have been all kinds of little variants and sub-product lines created over the years. First, gotta show some love to the originals, the basic selection of animals with no gimmicks, no BS, just straight up pure pillow pet action. Everyone remembers the one they had as a kid, and looking at the choices that were available to my parents back then, I really have to wonder why they bought me the damn Ladybug. This is like by far the fuggliest one here, which is saying a lot considering this f***ing thing's right below it. Obviously, as time's gone on, a ton of new animals have been added to the lineup, but it keeps going. We've got different variants. You can DoorDash yourself a Pee-wee-sized pillow pet if you prefer sleeping with less than a square foot of headroom. Not sure what the point of these are. I had a knockoff Bumblebee one from Pillow Chums as a kid for some reason, and it's like, this isn't a usable pillow. So heading in the opposite direction, instead of paying $40 for a regular pillow pet, you can drop $95 and get one of the jumbos, which are significantly larger and more akin to like dog beds than pillows. A great way to skimp out on buying your kid a real bed. Look at this image on the store page. This kid's mom just smacked a giant cow in the middle of his bedroom floor and called it a day, but he's having the time of his life. I can't wait to give my kids the same luxury someday. There are these nightlight ones that project fun shapes all over your room, which is a pretty cool idea, but you can't really sleep on them though. They're hard as a rock and you'll get blinded putting your face on them. You're supposed to set it beside your bed or something and just look at it, which even if the lights are cool, isn't as fun. Kind of defeats the whole point of it being a pillow pet, doesn't it? Luckily, glow pets are here to sort of alleviate those problems. Instead of brightening up the room, they have a nice contained glow, which is still neat and makes for much cooler designs, while also letting them be just as cuddly as the regular pillow pets. When I went digging in my closet to find my Ladybug, I discovered that I apparently had this glow pet dog back then. I have no recollection of ever owning this, but cool, something cuter than this nightmare. Even cooler than those, though, are chit chats, a massively forgotten variant that would let you record little audio messages and send them to other people's chit chats via Wi-Fi. When someone's pillow pet received a message, they'd get a little notification light and could press a button to listen to what was sent to them. You could even send voice messages to people's phones if you wanted to. What? I think this is a really neat idea. Sure, your parents would control your contacts through a mobile app, and the app in question is no longer available, but still, how badass must it have felt to have your pillow pet act as a gateway cell phone? This is a pretty cool set. Still alive to this day though, we've also got these scented pillow pets that emit the smells of not crusty barnyard animals, but nice things like strawberry milkshake, bubblegum, chocolate chip cookies, or if your parents hated you, lavender. Well, this did seem like a good idea. I love the concept of these things. They seem like a lot of fun, and there are so many different flavors out there. But anyone who got this one and slept with a face full of lavender every night, I am unbelievably sorry. Mystical pillow pets are an obscure category, featuring sparkly fabric as a selling point, as well as inspirations, pets with religious text on them. Fucking generic vehicles as pillow pets, sports editions, neons, and these emoji ones that are just completely devoid of any purpose. Why? Why was this its own category? These fucking suck. Well, on the subject of things that suck, let's not forget about those wonderful licensed pillow pets. Yeah, naturally as the brand grew more and more popular, a bunch of licensed pillow pets started flooding in, which is in equal parts cool and egregious. These things suffer from what I like to call Funko Pop syndrome, that thing that happens when a line of toys has to cohere to a specific form factor, which often results in beloved characters getting absolutely mutilated just to fit the parameters. In Pillow Pet's case, everyone has to become a square that folds in half and sports a crazy oversized head, whether they like it or not. There certainly is a spectrum of atrocity here. Characters that were already animals, especially quadrupedal ones, are great fits for the brand and don't stick out at all. But then it gets a bit weirder. Bipedal creatures that are turned four-legged against their will. They're supposed to have arms, but now they just have four stupid legs. I just feel bad for these things, they don't look happy to be here. We've got characters that aren't even animals being bent over and locked on all fours due to being foldable pillows for the rest of eternity. Now some of these designs I can give the benefit of the doubt, but anyone want to explain themselves here? Like, who wanted this to exist? Who set this in motion? Any pillow pet designed after a human, like, I commend the audacity, but they're so shit. Every single one, both from a visual design standpoint, and from the standpoint of, why would you buy your kid this? Like, to sleep with? And then there's ones like Elmo, SpongeBob, and this minion that are literally just rectangles with the characters' bodies awkwardly protruding or hanging off of them. As well as ones like these, where the pillow pet is just kinda the character, with no attempt to make it work as a foldable design whatsoever. Great work, guys, they fit like a glove. This Hello Kitty one is just her head bulging out of a pink blob. This R2-D2 light pet is 100% plastic and completely indistinguishable as a pillow pet. Fucking Veggie Tales. And finally, Lightning McQueen. Rapidly moving on, so back to the pillow pet variations. At this point, the brand just started going berserk and doing whatever the fuck. I mean, there are these body pillars that are just monstrously elongated animals that don't transform, don't have limbs, and don't look good. Then you've got like hats, hoodies, backpacks, purses, tricksters' helmets for riding bikes, pouchies, these weird-ass keychain/coin bag things. I mean, like, what are we even doing here, guys? Like, I get it. The brand is based on animals, which is a very broad, child-friendly idea that can be translated into many types of products. But it's also called Pillow Pets. All of these products have that label, so it's kinda weird to see how far they strayed from the sleep-themed products. I mean, stuff like the Pillow Pets blankets, slippers, and pajama sets, they might look like taxidermy, but they still make perfect sense. They ain't pillow pets, but they retain that bedtime theming. These weird-ass chapstick pouches and bicycle helmets don't. Like, take this zebra for instance. For the love of God, don't turn him into a shitty animal snake, but at least if you made him into like, I don't know, a toothbrush or something, I'd kinda understand, because you know what? That was my fault. Brush Pets, a line of toothbrushes based on the animals we got to know and love from Pillow Pets.
Don't forget to brush your teeth.
Okay.
Hey, buddy, want to make that boring old toothbrush fun?
Yeah, this is a fever dream. Essentially, these toothbrushes talk to you as you brush your teeth just to make sure you're, like, doing it right.
Start by brushing your left side.
I mean, again, I think this product does make sense. Get the toothbrush that matches your pet, and after you've used it, you can go sleep with the pillow one. But, like, I don't know, man, these voices are so fucking weird. And apparently someone on the design team thought it'd be a good idea to make certain brushes tongue-colored to really sell the illusion that you're Frenching a wild animal. But I digress. It fits. Way better than all this stuff anyway. I swear, the only product that could be less fitting than these would have to be like a tablet cover that you used to... Dude, I just gotta keep my mouth shut. Fab tablets. Plush tablet covers for 7 to 10 inch tablets, including iPad. Why the hell? These have nothing to do with animals, nothing to do with pillows or sleeping. The designs themselves feel like desperate cop-out attempts to make these things resemble pillow pets in any way. Why were these made? Fucking tablet covers? You're pillow pets. You guys have a lane. Stay in it. Yeah, I hate tablet covers. And lastly, for kids who were already fans of the Pillow Pets products, there were a few little extras in the form of some children's books based on the core group of Pillow Pets characters, and a couple of tabletop games, an adventure game, and a matching game, all under the Pillow Pets Dreamland title. It really is crazy how these silly little Pillow Pets, which I always thought were just foldable pillows, were actually sort of an expansive franchise there for a bit. I really never would have guessed that any of this other stuff ever existed. Frankly, it was hard to even find a lot of it online. I ended up turning to the Wayback Machine just to prove to myself that some of these products were even real, and sure enough, by visiting old versions of the Pillow Pets website, there they all are. Man, looking at old sites like this is already such a nostalgia trip, but the fact that we get to see some of these lost, forgotten products just on display with high-quality images that can't be found otherwise, I don't know, it's just nuts. They even used to run little contests for fans on the Pillow Pets site back then, and there were these little flash games you could play. Like, come on, what the fuck?
You found all the things that belong to Ms. Ladybug. Great job!
Like, man, as defeated as that guy sounded, at least this website had some personality back then. Where did it all go, man? It's so barren now. All that remains these days is a soulless white void featuring all the soulless new-gen Pillow Pets products they crapped out in recent years. And well, I guess we might as well check those out now. Seemingly riding off the popularity of Squishmallows, Pillow Pets Puffs are easily the most prevalent new addition from the modern era, being squishier and stretchier versions of the typical Pillow Pets. Honestly, I think these things kinda look like shit. They look really cheap and deformed compared to the originals. Like, dude, this looks like a fucking carnival prize, bro. And as if that wasn't enough, now they've gone ahead and made round puffs, which are squishier and stretchier versions of the typical balls. Okay, so I see that we're still trying to make shit that isn't the foldable pillows you guys are known for. Buddies on the go, these puff-styled animals that you wear on your wrists? Alright, now this one I just legitimately don't understand the purpose of whatsoever. Look at this kid on the store page, I don't even think he knows why he has this. Who is gonna wear this on one of their hands all day while they're out and about? That is what they want you to do with this thing. That is its intended function. And when you're not doing that, you're supposed to use it as a cuddle buddy. Aw. Which I guess you could do, if you're willing to ignore the big-ass sleeves, small-ass limbs, cheap-ass material, and cylindrical-ass body shape. I mean, even the fucking spheres make better stuffed animals than these things, if you ask me. Neither of them are Pillow Pets, though. But luckily, they haven't completely given up on creating new Pillow Pet gimmicks. For instance, color-on Pillow Pets. See, back in the day, you used to be able to order personalized Pillow Pets that had your name printed on them. Now instead, you can just buy blank canvases of animals that you can draw all over using the markers they come with. An interesting idea for sure, but for a pillow? I mean, so many dumbass kids are gonna get marker all over their faces trying to use these things while the marker's still wet. Or they'll just huff the shit out of it in their sleep. Dream lights have been upgraded and replaced with sleep time lights, which are basically the same product, but now cast rainbow stars onto the ceiling, which I care about. And we've also got weighted Pillow Pets, for if you want your pet to be heavier, and your pillow to be heavier. What kid was asking for this? This isn't an actual Pillow Pets thing, I just found this listing on eBay and thought it was funny. And of course, there will undoubtedly be a million other oddball variants releasing for years to come, as the company desperately tries to cling on to the magic it once possessed. It's kind of a letdown for me that this is the type of stuff they're actively selling now. Hollow, trend-chasing, sometimes not even Pillow Pet products that just feel like cash grabs. The old products, as weird as they got, had charm, but now all that stuff is either lost to time, only available secondhand, or just slowly being cycled in and out of the official store at an inconsistent rate, just to create artificial scarcity. Seriously, they only list a small handful of their products at any given moment. It's stupid. But, oh well, I'm too old for this shit. I should be focused on employment and, you know, other important adult stuff. But that leads us to the grand finale of this whole shebang. You see, I'm a fan of video games, but not just that, I'm a fan of video games based on real-world products, especially childhood products. They absolutely fascinate me, so you could probably guess how I reacted when I found out that Pillow Pets had not just one, but 2 video games based on them. Why the f***? First up, we have Pillow Pets for Nintendo DS, released in October of 2011, which was probably decent timing. I'd imagine these things were still pretty big at that point, so it made total sense to take advantage of their fan base and get them to buy a shitty DS game while they were still interested. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to get all accusatory there. But it is true, this game is ass cheeks. Where have all the Pillow Pets gone? See if you can find one. You know, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that this company put out a mind-numbing DS game. I mean, the way they see it, if I fall asleep using one of their products, then they've done their job. The game itself is incredibly simple. This terrifying ladybug informs us that all the other pillow pets are lost in dreamland, and that we gotta go rescue them. What this amounts to is a total of 16 boring 2D platforming levels split across 3 worlds: Rainbow Valley, Fantasy Woods, and Slumberland Castle. Your moveset is very basic. You can walk, jump, double jump, and glide in the air temporarily thanks to your pillow form. In each level, the goal is to find the lost pillow pet, usually in plain sight, and then take them to the giant key at the end that unlocks the door back home. Whatever pet you just saved is then unlocked as a playable character, who you can give a name to and dress up with various clothing items, which you can unlock by gathering the extra collectibles in the levels. These collectibles come in many forms, frankly, too many. You've got these little stars everywhere that fill up this happiness meter that apparently increases your gliding distance. These stars respawn indefinitely, and the game never tells you they do anything, so for my entire playthrough, I was pretty frustrated that I was sometimes unable to reach certain areas that I could swear I got to previously just fine. Turns out, it's the fucking stars, and if at any point you dare to switch animals for some variety, you'll have to collect even more of them. Each animal has their own meter that only fills up when they gather stars, and to 100% the game, all of the animals have to have full meters, so okay. There are also 4 large stars in each level, hidden in more tricky places. Sometimes you find them in chests, or have to pass through a series of golden rings for them to appear. And each level also has 4 gems, flowers, acorns, coins, whatever random wacky object it decides to have, and they're more or less the same thing as the big stars. Hidden in tricky places, but you'll also sometimes have to dig in certain spots to find them. Gathering all 4 of either collectible in a level unlocks a new clothing item to put on your animals. Neat. A few of the levels will also have an extra animal in them that'll give you a quest, with a clothing item as a reward. This koala, for instance, has lost his boomerang and wants me to find it for him. Oh, well, sure thing, friend. Let me go see if I can find... If anybody watching still has their koala pillow pet, please do me a favor and just burn it. And well, that's really all this game has to offer. There's a lot of flowery bullshit embellishing it, but at its core, Pillow Pets DS is a very short, very bland platformer with barely anything going for it. In terms of level elements and gameplay shakeups and all that, I mean, there are these rainbow slides that you can only go down and not back up, some bouncy schmouncies, cannons that blast you through the air, hats that teleport you elsewhere in the level. You know, all the most basic and obvious mechanics you'd expect any game like this to have. The only power-up is this magic wand that makes you grow large, which lasts until you pass through a bunch of sparkles that shrink you back down. This ability lets you destroy clouds and open up paths that otherwise would have been blocked, but like, I don't know, it's just lame. The level design in this game is rancid. Many of them are ginormous and overly complicated with a million different paths that have nothing of note in them. I just get lost in these things trying to find all the collectibles. Some levels actually fucking lag because of how much shit they've got crammed in them. It's horrible. And then there's the alternative, levels that are incredibly straightforward but still take forever to get through because you're slow as balls. A while back, I took a look at Silly Band's Play the Craze, another Nintendo DS game based on another nostalgic childhood product. I initially predicted that it'd be a crappy but semi-decent 2D platformer, but was rather disappointed to find out that the game was nothing more than a shitty Angry Birds clone. And well, I think Pillow Pets DS serves as proof that you shouldn't always take advice from a giant talking fish on the internet, and sometimes making an Angry Birds clone is the better option. I will commend the game for one thing though, and that's the theming. It does a pretty good job working with the whole bedtime angle. Collecting stars in all these dream-esque worlds, watching this cozy playroom fill up with all the pillow pets as you save them, and getting to name and dress each one like you would an actual pillow pet, that's pretty fun. But at the end of the day, this game is exactly what you'd expect. It's a cheap, disposable piece of shovelware that was only made because pillow pets were popular and they could quickly release it at the perfect time for dumb kids to eat it up. Which is something I guess I can't say about the other Pillow Pets game, considering it didn't show up until like 5 years later. Pillow Pets World was a browser game said to have lasted from 2016 to 2018, a 3-year time period during which a grand total of 0 people were still thinking about pillow pets. I mean, I don't know, it's tricky. There's evidence of this game's existence dating back as early as 2013, but it seems that its official public launch happened in March of 2015, which, if you ask me, was still a bit late for pillow pets. Kind of a shame though, because this game actually seemed pretty interesting, and if it was around during the height of pillow pets' popularity, I feel like it would have been a pretty big deal. In Pillow Pets World, you played as a pillow pet and explored a virtual online playground based on real-world locations. For the most part, it was just your average educational online space for kids. You could chat with other players, dress up your animal, take selfies, decorate houses, and play minigames. Most of the game was free to experience, but you could pay for a monthly membership to get extra perks. You know, all that typical kids MMO stuff. But there was one big thing about this one that set it far apart from the rest, and that was the real world prizes. Yeah, the big draw of Pillow Pets World was that through various methods in the game, you could win actual Pillow Pets branded prizes that would be shipped to your house at no cost. Seriously, when I found out about this, it blew my fucking mind. The game had this prize room you could go to that had a handful of leaderboards going at all times. Always active, always counting down. When the clocks hit 0, the prizes displayed would get sent to the real houses of whoever was winning in those categories during that time frame. Most coins earned from minigames, most trash picked up off the ground, most hearts received on selfies. Every 30 minutes or so, winners would be announced, prizes would be distributed, and the new winning criteria would be established, with everyone starting back at square one to fight for the top spot on these new leaderboards to win one of the next prizes. Insane. On top of that, you could also earn these prizes through the minigames. Normally these would just pay out coins that were only good for buying in-game items, but if you were a paid member or chose to use a play pass, which you could buy for around $1 or get for free by leveling up in the game, these minigames would also pay out tickets, which could be used in the ticket shop to buy real-world fucking Pillow Pets merchandise. Pillow Pets, scented Pillow Pets, glow pets, brush pets, the shitty clip-on ashtrays, all available to win in real life with in-game currency. Unbelievable. If you went to the moon, there was this wheel you could pay some coins to spin a few times, and if your spins added up to a high enough number, guess what happened? You won whatever stupid ass prize was currently on display in real life. Fucking incredible. There were even these Pillow Pets World trading cards you could buy that could be redeemed in-game for even more chances at real world prizes. And if you ever did sign up for a membership, you got a free Pillow Pet sent to you right off the bat. It just never ends, man. Now look, I know I'm hyping this up. I know that they definitely made it extremely slow and tedious to get real prizes without paying anything. I mean, you got prizes that cost hundreds of tickets, and the minigames only pay out like 10 at a time. Plus, just about every damn slot on this wheel is a single-digit number, and you gotta get 40 points in 3 spins to win this stupid hat. Yeah, right. I also know that they wouldn't have made this game if they weren't profiting, so even paid members, who were given extra advantages for winning the real prizes, were probably losing more money to this game than they would have been just buying this stuff outright. I also know that I mean, these are the prizes I'm getting hyped about, so like, but man, just the fact that you could be a kid with no money grinding on this game to get real world plushes and other Pillow Pet stuff sent to your house without paying a dime, it just fascinates the hell out of me. I would have been all over this as a kid. It's such a cool idea, and it's a shame that it had to be discontinued. This game was so hard to learn about, I really have to thank the creators of this YouTube video for being pretty much my only source of information on it besides this old Instagram account. This is literally just a video of 2 kids playing the game, wandering around and reviewing it, just explaining how everything works and giving little opinions. It's the kind of video I would have made as a kid, just a throwaway game recording that under normal circumstances no one would ever have any reason to watch. But by making this video, these kids have unknowingly created some of the only genuine documentation this game would ever get. It's the only reason I was able to learn how any of this stuff worked. This would-be throwaway video actually served the exact purpose it was intended to, and that's really cool. But with that, we've now gone over just about everything the Pillow Pets franchise had to offer. While I was never all that attached to these products, they represent an era of my childhood that I'm always happy to look back on. And finding out about all the ridiculous stuff these crazy critters have gotten into while I've been gone, it feels like I'm catching up with an old friend who like developed a gambling addiction or something. Get your shit together, man. Well, that was a fun way to avoid sleeping for another 20 minutes, but I think it made me realize something. How cool would it be to replace this god-awful pillow with a pillow pet? I'd finally get some sleep. But I can't buy a pillow pet. They're for kids. Oh, I got it. This is very nice. Hey, no, come back. Oh.
What happened?
You know, now that I think about it, probably could have just tried, like, popping a Benadryl or something.